Yes, welcome back. And today we are here with a new topic, and the topic we are going to discuss is very much popular because people generally run after success. And today we are going to talk about how to become successful. Success is a word which is uh, quite very soothing to the ears, but it means different to it means different things to different people. The definition of success is different to individuals. It depends on the kind of priorities they've got for themselves. And today we are going to talk about the kind of roadmap that people can follow to reach their desired goals, to achieve the desired goals, and they can become successful. Right. First, we will talk about the definition of success, because what I think success maybe uh, maybe other person may have a different idea of success, because this is, as I told you in the beginning, success means different to different people. It is very subjective, right? If I say that so and so thing, if I achieve such and such thing, then I would be successful. I think the other person may not have the same kind of idea, because he or she has their own way of looking at success. So this is something which we are going to talk about, and by the end of this episode, people will have an idea, and they will definitely be knowing what the success is going to mean to them. At the same time, they will also have a roadmap to follow, which can lead them to success. At the same time, they will also be able to become the best version of themselves by following the kind of things we are going to talk about. Because uh, the things we are going to talk about are very practical, and generally, those who are going to be successful would have the same kind of things for themselves to follow. Right. So, Robin, before we start elaborating on the same, I would like you to define the success as per your point of view. What do you think success is all about? As we have already, we already know that success means different to different people. But what do you think what success is? Over to you.
Okay, good evening, first of all. And there might be varied of definitions and those different statements which literally can define what success is all about. But when I do a bit contemplation in this regard, I only conclude a few things on this. So one thing is pretty good and acceptable. It's what you have said on your part that it is pretty subjective, right? But apart from being subjective, there is also one more thing, which I think the current definition of success. Now, probably we are making and creating this video for the purpose of making people, aware about the literal definition of success, right? So that they could really, analyze it and transport the ideas of this and cultivate, into their own conducts, so that things might be little bit different to them and could make their life easy, right? So as far as the current definition of success, I think there is nothing else but your wealth, your fame, all these things are the determining factors of success. So people living in what form or in what state of strata is what that decides the overall success rate of a person. So you might conclude this in this way: when someone observes personality like Salman Khan, Sachin Tendulkar, Shah Rukh Khan, they are only inspired by the lifestyle these big guns carry on, but they are not willing to discuss about the journey so far. So it is just their money, it is just their fame, as how these people are getting global recognition. So it's what makes people feel uh, to be something which could be held as success, right, in their minds, right? But this is not a literal definition. In fact, if you go back to the very literal definition, or what we and how we can define success in true sense, it is something which is opposite to the current definition. How? Because if you read it, if you find it, you will understand that it deals only with only few things, and one of those few things is that it clearly says that your success means that you transcend those wealth and fame. So when you transcend these two things, okay, which which are becoming so popular among people, you are actually on the path of success. And other things could also be included as a other components of success, which are equally important to define the rate of success or to define the true, nature of the success, is that the sustainability of your achievements. So people may get achievements and they accomplish their goals, but many people do that. But how many people are there to sustain those kind of state of success is also what can be defined as a success, right? So this is the very crude definition. So in crude definition, we can say success is all about when you transcend material and wealth, right? And then you go beyond this periphery and try to understand the whole concept of life, what life is all about, right? Now, apart from this, if I go back to make it even more, you know uh, understandable and more perceivable to all the viewers, it could be easily defined in other ways, possible ways. For example, if people are pretty, so there are three basically, aspects of human life which are important, and people must be a little bit kind of conscious while dealing with these three aspects. One is private, this is called personal,
Yeah.
life. Second is professional life, and the third is emotional life, right? So these three important, aspects of life are something which need a very utmost attention. Okay, and if you fail to do that, what I mean to say is that if you fail to maintain a strike balance among all between all these things, you may call yourself unsuccessful. So if you find even a slight disruption in either of these three aspects, you start calling yourself an object of sufferings, right? And people who are very uh, apparently, striking the balance uh, between all these things, right? As what once Satyam Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, said once, that he is successful because he, throughout his life, was able to maintain a balance between all these things: personal life, private life, as well as emotional life, right? So when you maintain all these things, very cautiously deal with this thing, then you can call yourself successful. At the end of the day, it's not very kind of a rocket science for a common person to understand that everyone wants a certain degree of peace regardless of the situation. Okay, so when you have this peace, okay, and you feel it, right, in whatsoever situations or in any struggling phase you are, if you are at peace, you can also call yourself successful a person. I'm reminded of one very statement being made by one of the famous actors of Bollywood. I forgot the name of, but he's very he's a comic actor. He says, according to him, success when he is peaceful, he's at a peace in both situation, where any achievements, approaches to him, as well as when any failure approaches to him. If he can maintain this neutrality, that in neutrality here means that he is able to, to maintain the surge of emotions, because our emotions, surge when only in two possible, conditions: either when the person, obtains enormous amount of success, right? And on the other side, when he fails to do, certain things, or he fails to achieve certain. So in all these two, aspects of life, mostly people, you can say, handle a huge surge of emotions, and that what makes a person kind of very, you can say, unbridled in terms of managing in his emotions, right? So even when the person is rich, even when the person is, famous, if this piece is not being experienced individually, I mean, that person himself can never, call or can be recognized as a success, because um, uh, people, the honest, success, and mostly honest people define success when they don't value their life according to the opinions of other. It is what they feel and perceive within them is what that decides or determines the rate of success. So these all are important, uh, minute level kind of understandings Okay, a person can go through and can have a personal experience, individual experience on it, and can define the success it. But at the end of the day, one line could be sufficient to sum up this entire very argument of what success is all about. Is that when you maintain and enjoy a certain amount of peace in all possible aspects of life, and if you do that, you are for sure a successful person, regardless of people know you or maybe they don't know, or even you enjoy that fame across the globe, whatsoever it is. But if you enjoy this very peace, I think even when you are poor, living in a despicable situation, utter poverty, you are still a success for many. Okay, or if not many, for at least oneself. And that is what success is all about, according to me. Over to you.
As I said, that success is, success is very subjective experience. As far as I'm concerned, for me, success, you might have heard many people say that they will feel themselves successful when they have achieved a degree from college. And then they would be talking about if they lend themselves a job, the dream job, they would be successful. Then comes if they have a family and very happy family, they would be successful. So they keep achieving different kinds of successes they have set for themselves, but they never say that they are finally successful and they don't want anything else from this. So as long as you are not feeling yourself to be very successful, and you think that nothing matters now, I think you haven't reached that level. So for me, success is when I feel within that I don't really need anything else, and I'm comfortable with whatever I have. I'm quite happy with whatever I have got with myself. For
Mm,
me, that is success. And
mm,
let's talk about the core principles of success, because
mm,
here we are not talking about anything spiritual, right? We are laying down, you can say, certain principles, and we are talking about certain principles which can lead a person to success, so
mm,
that they can become successful. They can have different goals, as we talked about
mm,
at the beginning, but whatever the goal is, the kind of steps, the kind of principles we're going to talk about, all they are important for any kind of goal a person has set for themselves, right?
right.
So, we are talking about these core principles. So tell me, what are those core principles are? First of all, what comes to my head is, what I believe is that a person should have a very clear-cut goal for themselves. Otherwise, if they are just they are confused about the goal, I think they cannot, it can take them nowhere, because the clarity of goal is very much important, right? So you just shed some more light on this, on the same point, that how important is clarity of goals for a person to have, so that they can reach the destination without getting you can say getting lost in the labyrinth of this life. Because if you don't have the proper goal, then you would be moving here and there, but not you will not be reaching a particular place or a particular goal, because you haven't set any goal for yourselves, or even though you've set a goal for yourselves, but you haven't become resolute, and that
Mm,
is very much important. So you should
mm.
have the clarity of goal. So how can a person bring clarity in themselves regarding their goals, and then how can they maintain this clarity?
Okay, so let's begin with uh, narrating all those kinds of important components of of success, right? Then we move to the second part, how one can maintain success, right? So, I mean, it could be an individual experience. This is a first statement which I want to make so consciously. Because if we notice one thing in our life that after we live a significant amount of life as person reaching to the age of 30 or 40, and that too without maintaining a slight degree of consciousness, we consider life is absolutely for no reason, because the life begins and springs only when you understand yourself. That is what is termed as self realization, right?
Yeah.
So, self realization is what, according to me, is the first and the most important, component of success. Why do I say this? I have a strong reason to support this very idea, because when you have or experience, when you do this self realization, you actually understand the very purpose of your life, right? And once you know the purpose of your life, you start binding yourself to those important values. So either you can call it an inner call, you can call it with some different names. Many people really don't do, uh, enough good in their life, even till they're late 40 or 50. But all of a sudden, something that stumbles across to them, whatsoever it is, but they all of a sudden get something and they become so famous overnight, right? So you can call it as a self realization or you can call it anything else. But this is what it is. So when you have your self realization kind of experience, then you start having, uh, those ideas about and ideas about what the life is all about. Secondly, you start
By
valuing.
self-realization, you mean the clarity of goals, right?
Clarity of goals, absolutely right. That's what I'm trying to say, clarity of goal. Because when you know the value, because once you know the things, you start recognizing the values too, all those upholding values of life, right? For example, let's take an example of Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, okay, many people don't consider it Mahatma, that's a political issue altogether, but the world gives him recognition, right? Many people call him a figure of non-violence, right? So it was his value. So Mahatma Gandhi perhaps can be called who got some self-realization in which he found these core values like non-violence as a part of humanistic values, and he always throughout his life being a staunch follower. He was a staunch follower to all these kind of values, right? And that's how he established himself as an inspirational figure and motivating figure for millions and billions of people, right? So we can take example, from such kind of people, right, who adhered to all those values. So this is the one important component of success, that is self realization. Now
Yeah.
the second important, which I think is also important, the second component according to me is your you can say resilience nature, right? Many people succumb in in you kind say in a struggling phase, right? And even when someone continuously faces setbacks in their life, after they I mean follow all these things disciplinarily, right? They follow all possible kind of things, even they go through a hard working, but still they face kind of failures in their life, and thereafter they get so depressed, and out of desperations they take such a move which just should not have taken, right? It's what we read in the newspaper. So resilience is one of the most important components of success. Those who are resilient are actually very much kind of adamant in their own wills, that they want to achieve things at any cost whatsoever it is. I mean, we have a number of examples for this to support this very resilience of nature, and how this resilience nature could really help people out there to be as a competitive forever in this very competitive society. I mean, let's take an example of Elon Musk. How many people know that Elon Musk, in his earlier phase of life, or early phase of life, was specifically his career, he was miserably failed in SpaceX, as he designed, and his PayPal was also so kind of debacle, proved to be a debacle to him. And thereafter he, you know, I mean, turned up something else, and now we count him as a big success right now. Okay. Now I mean, one more thing, this is what we tells us. Apart from this, one thing could also be included as a component of success is that you know uh, adaptability to change, right? this
Yeah.
very this very ability of adapting to change. I mean, we are very much adverse towards to changes, right? Or you can say we have this aversion, right, to changes. So we are not ready to change ourselves. So we are in this comfortable position situation, and therefore we don't want to go, and we don't want to live this very lifestyle, because we are afraid and we are fearing for some certain things, that if we are bereft of these things, perhaps the life could be very even more difficult, right? So this adaptability, as could be as a feature, could be counted as the most one of the most important component of you can say success. One more example I want I want to give to support this very adaptability, and how adaptability could really help you sustain your progress or success, is that uh, many do you know that Netflix, we today talking about Netflix a lot, right? But Netflix was earlier in a business of dealing with DVDs. So first the movies were created, and then it was served through DVD, distributed through DVDs like this. And thereafter they changed their entire business from dealing in DVD to going to streaming, right? So everything is available at a disposal, right? After COVID-19, the demand of the of the demand of the people were to enjoy, right? At in a- at any possible situations, right? So earlier there was no such kind of scope being left among people to go to nearby theater and enjoy movie in this very kind of troublesome situation, in a horrific situation, where we are almost following those kind of strict or stringent instructions during COVID writing, right? So when this particular idea came to him, and he turned his business altogether in a very different directions and went completely streaming. So this shows that how your one particular action, you know and your adaptable behavior could really get you, and could get you this success. So these are important components according to me, which really uh, uh, which are really components of success, and which people, if carry in their attitude and the conduct, okay, they become kind of you can say a good successful people. As once you remember, once Thomas Edison says one thing, that success is 1% genius 1%, sorry, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So this 99% perspiration means 99% sweating. Here sweating refers to hard working,
Yeah.
right? So hard working, your resilience nature, your inclination towards adaptation to almost coming changes whatsoever it is, are all important components, okay, of what success is all about. Over to you.
As you talked about adaptability, we can also interpret as flexibility as well.
Yeah.
For example, I came across when I was reading about, you must be knowing that book Tao Te Ching, right? And in which it is written that when a person dies, the whole body becomes rigid. And the person is alive, the whole body is flexible. And if we say that we are alive, then we should be flexible in terms of our beliefs, in terms of our principles, because whenever you think that you need to change, then you should be very quick at changing, because this is what life is all about. If you cannot change, then you would not be able to sustain, right?
Mm,
You might have also read about the dinosaurs.
mm,
They became extinct because they failed to adapt themselves to the changing environment, and that's why
right.
and these species are no more. One more thing you talked about is clarity of goals. So I'm reminded of a story. You must have also must also have read that, because generally it is told in the schools that there was a man, and he was carrying his donkey to the market one day in order to buy food. The father sat on the donkey, and the boy walked. They were going actually, and the father sat on the donkey, and the boy walked. And so while they were traveling, means people said, "How cruel."
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
he didn't say how cruel.
Uh,
He said that the father walks while the son rides. Actually, the son was riding, and the people said how the father walks, the son rides, and the father
uh,
got off and he let the boy ride. Then people said how disrespectful.
mm,
The boy walks while the father,
mm,
is the boy is riding, the father is walking. Then the
mm,
both got on the donkey's back and said, and then the people said, how cruel! Two people are riding
right.
on two donkey's back, and then
Mm,
they got up the donkey's back and walked. Then people say how foolish they are. Both of them
mm,
walk well. The perfectly healthy looking donkey has nothing on its back, and this
right.
is the how they got. They got late and they reached the market delayed. So this shows that if a person doesn't have the clarity of goal, so they'll be driven from pillar to post, right?
Uh,
So this is going to happen to them, and they will not end up where they're supposed to,
right.
right? So the next thing we are going to talk about is one more thing is coming to my head is if a person who's willing to be successful, they should also not be forgetting the importance of discipline, right?
Right.
No matter how big goals you've got on your head and how consistent you are trying to be, but if you maintain to discipline yourself and discipline your activities, perhaps you would not be able to reach where you are
Right.
hoping yourself to reach. So discipline, people are trying to feel
Right.
motivated, sorry.
Absolutely.
So one key quote I came across while I was reading in my studying in my college. So the quote goes like this: that if you're waiting for someone to come and turn you on, what if they don't come?
Yeah.
Motivation is just like taking a bath. You have to take
Yeah.
it every day. So,
Yeah.
so a person has to be motivated. At the same time, they should not be forgetting the importance of and the value of
Mm.
discipline. So, tell me how important discipline is when a person is setting out their journey, setting out their journey of being successful.
Okay. I think this is what many people really don't talk about. Uh, People don't count discipline, first of all, especially when they are told to define what success is all about. And this is what you can say the most ironical thing that you will ever experience. And this is what you can observe through the interpretation of success that we come across from the young minds. And that's what you can see and feel right from a little verbal interactions with them, and then you will understand how these people define success, and without counting or giving a due, you can say a respect, okay, to hard work or to disciplinary lifestyle. So many people then tomorrow will come out and say that your Sachin Tendulkar is really famous, and we like him just because of many people give him recognition. The world gives him recognition, and he's also a noble person, as well as he's also known as a Bharat Ratna for India. So these all are few things that are like hovering over their mind, and which give them an indication that this person is successful. What they are missing, especially in the part of communication, a self communication that helps them to to decide this very boundaries of what success is all about, is that they are not giving a due, you know uh, a respect to one's hardworking and disciplinary lifestyle. Rarely people come out will say that Sachin really struggled a lot. How many times he almost went almost opposite to the expectations of the people, and how many times he failed to make India win against different kind of teams when they were playing matches. No one willing to talk about, no one willing to talk about it, because it is what something which is important and something which people must talk about it. Because if you talk a success in this way, you are actually giving your whole you can say attention to one's lifestyle. So it is not just what we are seeing right now as a current situation, including his lifestyle, wealth, popularity, whatsoever. It is a total outcome of what he has gone through throughout his life. So what he has gone throughout his life is basically a subject, or should be a subject for people to communicate, to ponder, and to contemplate in it, so that they could literally understand what success means and how a person could achieve success. Therefore, this lacking in understanding, in defining the boundaries of what success is all about, somewhere making youth, be more diverted towards, you can say, a success which is a very short lived, but as well as it could be achieved just in overnight, right? Which I don't call as a success, because there was no requirement of discipline in lifestyle, there was no requirement of perseverance in that. We have examples of those heroes who became overnight popular. I mean, who became popular overnight. Many youngsters making reel and became so popular. However, they didn't have that much talent. They didn't have anything important to display as something which could be worthy of admiration, right? But still, it is just like the choice of arts. What we think it's good and pleasing to our eyes, we start giving recognition to that thing, right? So this is one of the most important discussion, which is I'm pretty much kind of feeling unfortunate in this, that don't people don't really talk about it. No one talks about the journey of Shah Rukh Khan. No one talks about the journey of Salman Khan, or even Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, or even Mahindra Singh Dhoni. So if you understand how they could have been throughout their life, you will understand the value, the meaning of what discipline life. And what is more important on the top of that is that even when these people get success, okay, there is no compromise could be observed in their routine lifestyle. So, I mean, recently I was reading one article about the fitness pertaining to, or regarding, Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli in his 35, in his late 40 right now, but he still is very vigor. So when someone watches him playing cricket, he gives them a resemblance of some 20 or 22-year-old boy playing cricket. But this is what we see on the screen, and that's what we inspire. But we really don't want to talk about the hardcore practice that he undergoes, not just once in a week or once in a fortnight, regularly. So he puts him on a certain diet which many of us even don't like to eat. Even he being so rich, anything could be at his disposal, right? Whatsoever dishes he wants to enjoy, that could be there on the table for him, and he could have relish on it. But he avoids everything because he is there to make his body much, appropriate, or you can say most suitable to the requirements of the game. And that's why he's still an energetic and complete a firebrand cricketer in all possible ways. So that's what I think people should recognize. So disciplinary lifestyle is really important. One more thing, Serena Williams, the tennis player, was very much adamant on one thing, that even when you don't have that much talent, right, and you are not those among who are counted as born with some silver spoon and innate talents, like through someone's legacies, right? Some people have their genes, their ancestors have done something great, so their genes are almost in flow, so they will be always be having some characteristics of like this, right? But if you don't have all these things in you, just with the help of disciplinary lifestyle, with a little austerity on a regular basis, you could really achieve anything. So she says that your ability could be, you know you can say, uh, increased in such a way, or your intelligence could also be multitude or amplified, only with the help of your routine efforts, your disciplinary lifestyle, right? So if you follow this disciplinary lifestyle, you could certainly um, enjoy the real taste of the success. And moreover, even when you go fail thereafter, many people as almost touch to the ground after they have touched the sky, many people fall in depressions, right? Because they don't have that audacity kind of to even adapt themselves to this sudden changes, right? If we can do that, out of our disciplinary lifestyle, we could really enjoy this moment too, as many people do, and therefore we call them a big success, right? So disciplinary lifestyle is one of the most important, part of a success. One must, give it's a due credit because it's worthy of credit. Over to you.
Yes, if we are not living a regulated life, we are not disciplined in a life, then we'll be missing out on so many things. As I can say that it's been almost a decade, more than a decade, when I started following my routine, and no matter, even though I've got some holidays, but I never compromise with that routine, because I believe that if I start changing the routine, then I would find it difficult to and get back and fit in the same kind of routine, because it will be quite difficult. And we already know that we've got 24 hours in a day, not more than this. So you have to utilize each and every second, and you have to put it to your account. You have to put it to your advantage, so that you
Mm,
can capitalize on all those things which come your way, right? So next thing we will be talking about that as people are following all these principles and they're trying to be successful, but success is not guaranteed. Future is not actually guaranteed. Nobody knows what future holds and it's a store for you. And when you go wrong, or you make any mistake and you fail to do certain things, then you would definitely be hitting you will be hitting rock bottom, and you will then be failing at times, because you cannot win all the time, you cannot become successful all the time. Sometimes you have to fail, but
right.
if you rise like phoenix, this should also be in you. If you want to become successful, then you should
Mm,
also be letting yourself, or you should be keeping yourself ready
mm,
for rising and resurrecting,
mm,
because as I told you, as many times, because we have had discussions many times before as well, that in you might have also experienced in your life. I
mm,
have also experienced in my life that we have failed many times, right?
mm,
I had certain other things which I
mm,
wanted to do in my life, but things went wrong, or I couldn't put the required efforts in
mm,
making them a reality. I failed many times, but we cannot simply be, crying over split milk, because you cannot just bring that back. Once you've lost something, then you have only one choice to move on, right?
right.
So now we are talking about how should a person learn from the failures, because people always think that people love success, but they hate failure, right? But if we want to draw some lessons from failures, then failures can become our biggest gurus, I would say.
Mm,
Because I've also learned a lot. Whenever I failed in my
mm,
life, I instead of feeling depressed, or instead of thinking of giving up, I thought of giving it a more, no, one more try, because if you stop trying, then you have no chance at all to
mm,
become successful. But if you get up and start making efforts, then you do have some chances, no matter how long it takes to become successful. But somewhere you'll be reaching somewhere, or
mm,
someday you'll be reaching, or you'll be living your dreams,
mm,
right?
right.
So this is what we're going to discuss. Tell me how the importance of learning from our failures. Over to you.
Okay. Okay. I mean, all thing could be concluded with this very one statement, and which is very popular statement, which is often being used by multiple minds, and that is, it's all your mindset. So your success is going to be what your mindset has decided, right? Or your life, whatsoever it is all already determined by the mindset you carry. So as you rightly said, that it is on your part whether you want uh, to consider these stones in your path as obstacles, then you can consider it. But if you can consider it stepping stones, then it will there to create a history for you, where you would set up some
So,
milestone for the future.
these failures are not, you can say they can be used as stepping stones, right?
Obviously, yeah. So yes, it could be, in fact it should be. So that is what your mindset. I mean, one of the researchers. I mean, it is known as a famous research done by Angela Douglas. And Angela Douglas writes in one of her books called Grit. She says that if you continue hard work on a particular objective, and even you fall flat on all your attempts, as what Thomas Edison failed in almost thousands of attempts, and
Yeah.
then eventually he end up inventing bulb, right? So in the same way, when you continuously hard work, and even you don't face something which you deserve according to you, but it is what the research concludes, that you have the ability, or you end up outpowering those best mindset in the world refer to those people who have that high degree of ability right from their childhood. Okay, so you have the power to outpace them just with a routine lifestyle, and with this routine kind of hard working, right? So that what your overall success is defined in this way. So you should be carrying on your path, right? And whatsoever comes to us as an obstruction, right, we should be treating as a stepping stone, because this is the only way out. Otherwise your entire uh, path that you have decided almost reaches to this impasse, where there is no way ahead, right? So we have to be very clever in dealing with these kind of situation. Apart from this, we need to learn from other characters who actually created this kind of you can say, uh, who experienced this kind of lifestyle. I mean, Jordan, I forgot the complete name of this. He's a very famous basketball player. He was once
Michael Jordan.
rejected.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, yes, he was once rejected in his 10th class. Okay, from volleyball's team, and then he continued to work hard, and then we have a result that he became the most popular face of the basketball game, right? So I mean, everything is there, and you can make anything possible just by your you know uh, perseverance, right? So therefore, why do many successful people give due credit to this surveillance sorry perseverance, right? Because they know, because it is only tool there with you to help you and to sustain you erect in all possible struggling phases, so that you continue to work hard and you learn you know things even from your failures. But unfortunately, we really don't consider these things, and in fact, I don't know, it could be called as a failure of our education system, that it has miserably failed in even teaching to these core values of life, as that your failure on attempts are not at all uh, the one will give you permanent ID as a failure. As many students we see in the newspapers that commit suicide after they don't meet with expectations of the parents. Some of them couldn't, get or score above 90, and for them it was almost an end of life. And therefore, I think I sometimes, see that these education systems should come out and take an action in that, and should try to, pass on these core values of life. Otherwise, otherwise, people, as one of the writers says, I forgot the name of the writers, that many of the biggest talent lived on this earth so far, I think, have been wiped off in their, in their early ages, just because of the same reason, because they couldn't, survive the pressure of the society. They couldn't survive the pressure of expectations, right? So therefore, they really didn't have this very teachings from their seniors, from the professors, that failures to them is always a lesson to them. But many people fail to do that. So that's what I can say about it. About you.
One more thing I've noticed, especially in students, that nowadays actually the kind of world we are living in, people are really just flashing their wealth. People are flashing their success as well. So these young minds get gravitated towards those people, and then they start for looking some quick fixes instead of paying attention to their studies. Instead of paying attention to their goals, they are just and dissipating their energy on different things. They are not at all putting their energy into realizing their dreams. So this is also a reason.
Right.
Let's talk about some common myths about success, because it is said that when somebody becomes successful and the other person fails, then they say that it is all about luck. So we were not lucky enough to get where we thought we would one day. So they start talking about luck, and they start talking about being blessed and all. So what do you think? What success is? Is it all about luck, or hard work also has a role to play? And if a person who is dedicated and they're disciplined and they are they're devoted and they are persistent in their efforts, would have some chance of becoming successful. Or the ones who are lucky, they're born lucky, because it's quite difficult to say that if a person is lucky or unlucky, because when people don't have anything, then they say they are unlucky. Instead of trying new things, instead of trying different things, or working hard, or going their expectations, or doing something which they've been just thinking about, but have never been able to put that into practice. So, what do you think? Who is going to be successful? Are those who are lucky, or those who are endowed with all these qualities, like motivation, and they are persistent, and they are devoted, they are dedicated? Yes, over to you.
Okay, so I mean, see, luck undoubtedly is a gate of opportunities, right? Which certainly brings you a lot of opportunities. There is no doubt about that. But to encash all those opportunities always require you to be hardworking, right? So without hard working, you may have a lot of opportunities, but whether you are able to encash all those opportunities and it's through, physical expressions, I think that is always a question for the people to, respond, right? So this is one part. The second part is that when you talk about hard working, as many people those who are really successful always give much priority to hard working, as what I rightly said in the very first part of this very discussion, is that according to Thomas Edison, I mean, 1% genius is 1% inspiration, and 99% perspiration. So what it means only one thing, that unless you sweat, okay, you cannot have things, okay? Or even when you thinks, or when you even obtain things without hard working, it will be there for a very short span of time, because you would value thing only when you know earn it by your hard work. You will have a respect towards it more, right? A success that you experience overnight may not be very valuable for you, right? So in this way we could also conclude one thing, that when we are successful, it doesn't mean that you need to cease all those efforts and attempts, right? Which actually leads you to be successful. So, at what we have discussed in the previous part of the same discussion, what makes Shah Rukh Khan a successful person? What makes Sachin Tendulkar a successful person? What makes Virat Kohli a successful person? It is not what they have done so far. It is what they have presented so far, they have projected themselves so far to the world, and how much they were sincere towards their own objectives, how much they were clear towards their own objectives, and how much they were very, you know, uh, effective and continuous effort, right? You can say. So in all these ways, you will find that they are engrossed in some sort of activity. So they are not like, just in a sitting in a relaxing mode, right? They are continuously working hard. They are not giving themselves much time. Okay, so this is also one of the part where we can say that when you become successful, even then you still require an immense amount of hard working, because you may achieve, or anyone may achieve success, right? Anyone. But to sustain that success even requires more efforts from your side, right? Because it requires a certain degree of disciplinary lifestyle, which many people, succumb, which many people fail to manage. Vinod Kamli recently, you know, came to the public limelight. Why? Because he has been treated as a very close friend so far of Sachin Tendulkar, right? But
Yeah.
now, only in one video, we can have this very apparent example where, on the one side, both these players who were a childhood friends made a debut in the Indian cricket team.
Yeah.
And in fact, once a time, Vinod Kambli was considered to be even more, you can
He was
say,
more talented
superior
than Sachin.
to Sachin Tendulkar. But look at him right now, where he is in Sachin, and compare him with Sachin Tendulkar right now. He is almost in a kind of dungeon where many people call him, you can say, drunkard, because he has spoiled his life uh, just because of this, you know, health hazardous intoxications, and he has been into debauches. He has been into relationship with multiple women, right? So all these things, somewhere caused, you know his almost, lifestyle to lead in that way. So everything's got triggered, right? But on the other hand, we have Sachin Tendulkar as an example, as an epitome. He, throughout his life, being so much, you can say, assiduous, right, throughout his life, and so much kind of, effective, and trying to be effective in all possible situations, right? So he never compromised with his disciplinary lifestyle. He has never compromised on those core values he achieved, and he realized after he got self realizations, right? So that's what makes him a real success. And then you can compare the failure of and then you compare the downfall of Vinod Kambli in the same matter, right? So that's, we have examples, everything before us, right from the society where we live in. Now it's your choice, it's our choice, which one we want to, you know, uh, accept as a part of our life. Over to you.
And with luck, one can be born with a silver spoon in one's mouth, but to cash in on all those opportunities which might come a person's way, they are supposed to have that X factor, and that can only they can only have that X factor if they are born with these qualities, or they are somehow they're developing these qualities in themselves, like they are devoting themselves to their particular goal, and they are dedicating themselves to that goal. I mean, they develop these 4 Ds: dedication, dedication, devotion, discipline, and determination. If they're practicing these 4 Ds, then perhaps they would be reaching somewhere, if not their desired goal, but it will lead them to some degree of success, right? They will not be bereft of success then, right?
Right.
Next thing we will talk about is, let's talk about the role of the role of mindset in a person's success.
Mm,
Because what I believe is, if a person doesn't have that positive mindset, somewhere they'll start, if they are negative, they'll start doubting themselves, and once this doubt comes, it's good that people question themselves, but at the same time they should not be questioning them all the time, because this can
mm,
then become very dangerous for them, and this will not allow them to go past their
mm,
expectations, right?
mm.
So tell me, what is the role of mindset in a person's success?
Okay, there is a famous competition between two mindsets. One is growth mindset, and which is against a self-doubting mindset, right? Now, the growth mindset is what that teaches you always to be well focused on your abilities, right? To be on your goals, and to try to effectively. transport all those values into the process so that you could have a better outcome out of all those efforts. Okay. And in this way you can advance your progress on every single moment, right? Or in every single. On the other hand, we have self-doubting minds also in the society, where people just on a little failure or slight failure in the life, they then you can say become so hyper with those kinds of notions, where they start doing self questioning more than it is needed, and at the end of the day they end up concluding themselves to be unworthy of things, right? Unworthy of unworthy of admiration, unworthy of acknowledgments, because then they treat themselves as insignificant, right? Big, just because of they have created that kind of notions you know about themselves. So now we have this before our eyes. Now, how do you want to treat, and how you want to process yourself, especially in the direction of, in the path of life? It is up to you, right? So, therefore, we have to be very uh, conscious when you take decisions in your routine life. Your one single decision reflects your overall thought process. So, I mean, if you become so much kind of, you know, hesitated in taking risk, then you are almost denying n number of opportunities where you could be really uh, proving yourself in different ways, right? So there's also a famous term called no risk no profit, right? So when you come out with this kind of taking risk kind of abilities, you actually give yourself more scope of life, right? Where you literally try your will, your inner will, to fight against all those uncertainties and unknowns, right, in your life. So this is how you can test on this very parameter, right? And second, which everyone knows, that your mindset, as I have already said in the previous part of the video, that it's your mindset that is there to decide everything for you. If you have a control on that, then probably you could be a better regulator of this entire body. I mean, we have discussed this in one part of Bhagavad Gita. I mean, therefore, Bhagavad Gita always, are always, I mean, impels people to to follow few things in their life, that if they really want to control their minds, they must they must be neutral, and they try to practice this neutrality in all possible situation in their life, so that they could really gain that control over their mind. Because once you get a control over your mind, you become you become literally a king of your own life, and you become the owner of your life. We unnecessarily say that we are the owner of our life, but we are not. It is our mind that is driving everything. Okay. But when you have this as a rein in your hand, you become literally a powerful person in there. So therefore I always say that your mindset is everything, and it is up to you how you are going to treat everything that comes to you, as a failure, as a success, which will decide the next 5 years for you, right? So if any failure comes to you, if you treat it as an opportunities for learning, then it's your mindset which is actually impelling you to accept this particular lifestyle, so that you could really advance your progress. But if you consider these small obstacles and these small resistance in your life, you are actually minimizing all the scope of success for you. So you have to be very very careful while dealing, because when you are on the path of on some certain objectives, on certain goals you have decided, it is likely that you will have both kind of experiences, negative and positives. It is up to you how do you want to take all these experiences. If you want to take it as a learning, then you can go with that. Then there'll be a sure success for you in the late future. But if you consider these things that is all, and there is nothing more left for you, then the rest is the history. Everyone knows what happens to this section of people. Over to you.
And before I sum up this video, I would like to conclude with the one particular thing that let us recap the points which we have discussed. First of all, a person should have the clarity of mind, if clarity of goals, if they are willing to be successful. The second thing, that they should be very persistent in their efforts, because if they're not persistent, then they should be forgetting that they would ever become successful. And they should be coupled with the one more quality, that is called discipline. They should be very much disciplined in their life. And then comes the role of the mindset as well. So if the mindset is negative, then perhaps they would start doubting themselves, and this self-doubting will lead them to their
Mm,
failing in their lives. And one more thing I would like to tell, that there are certain uh, other principles, right? Whenever a person sets goal, so they should be following this particular or practicing this particular thing like smart. The goals should be specific. This as for specific, and then M, that is measurable. The goals should be measurable. Third is A, and that means achievable. You should not be setting unrealistic goals, because once you become unrealistic, then it's quite difficult for you to achieve those goals, right? Then your goals should be realistic and they should be achievable. And then comes that means relevant. Your goals should be relevant, right?
mm,
And then comes the T, that is time bound. So you should
mm,
have you should be having a particular deadline. They should
mm,
be achieved within that particular deadline. Otherwise, it's going to be quite late. So if a person follows these steps and set their goals according to the kind of points we've discussed, then they would surely be successful. And there is no particular I would say magic available which can turn a person into successful, because if we talk about ourselves, we don't believe in quick fixes, and we believe in persistence, we believe in hard work. And we don't say that we have become successful, very successful. We just believe in the progress, we just believe in the journey, and we just believe in the consistent efforts that what we are putting in. And we can see that with every passing day we are improving, and this is what
right.
we want our audience to keep into account, that they should not be thinking themselves to be reaching the highest level in a matter of months and years. This is all about your investment you are making in yourself. And then they should be surrounding themselves with people, like-minded people. And
Mm,
then they should always be investing the time in their self-development, because
right.
time is the only commodity which is non-renewable on this planet. So
Right.
they should be very much concerned about their time. So these were the things which we were willing to discuss. And this if these things are followed, a person will definitely become successful in some or the other area of their life.
Right.
So with this, I'm taking a leave. We'll be seeing each other in the next episode.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
night. Bye.
Good night.